Jay here is unloading pastries that didn't get baked here this morning. That probably seems surprising. We're a bakery, why aren't we baking our own pastries? Well, our Mesa bakery had to pick up the slack this morning, so they're starting their days. Actually, somebody's coming in 2 hours early, starting at 2 a.m. instead of 4, in order to also bake off this store's pastries for the next couple weeks. Because over here, there is no more pastry oven. Actually, it's out in the alley right now. It's dark out there, but it's a big hunk of metal, and the hood as well, because the new oven has its own self-contained hood. This has become our busiest location, and we needed an oven that matched. Our Mesa bakery has a much bigger pastry oven, and it's sort of mismatched, if you will. We get to a holiday, and this location has a very large bake, let's say, and all of a sudden Mesa's having to do supplemental bakes because we've basically taken what was our garage oven and brought it here. We gave it nearly 2 years of service here. In that 2 years, that one small oven did more work here than it did in its culmination of time in the garage in terms of how many bakes it did and how many loaves of bread that we baked through. And it's a good oven. It can bake 16 loaves of pastry at a time, but the one that we're installing can do 40. So we're getting prepared. And the oven's already here in parts on a truck. Next week, it's going to get installed by the company that builds it. To make matters a little bit more complicated, we had a health inspection happen yesterday as we were in the middle of this. And that's always like a interesting scenario. We got an A, which, I don't know, it was a moment of pride. I think like Charmaine here, she was very happy. Like, she sent a video of dancing after getting the A, because this facility's really been kind of put through the ringer. We've been doing all this kind of projects and changes. Every few months it's looked different. With the warehouse updates over the last couple months in particular, we expanded our space there, but to expand you first have to contract. The construction takes space, you got to cordon it off and bring things in more condensed. And this team's really had to struggle through a lot of messes. So to get a high score on that inspection amidst all this project work just was very validating. It means something's going right around here. And all these efforts and energy we're putting into it every day is paying off. So we've been doing a lot of work back here in the warehouse. It's hard to kind of see it, but you can see now all the walls are actually lined with this FRP material, which is also impact resistant to some extent. I mean, I don't know that it's going to really prevent a 1-ton flour pallet from damaging the wall, but it does its part. We shifted this entire line over. So this used to be where the wall of the warehouse was, and we had this little closet on this side that we were using to store market materials. By moving the warehouse back 4 feet, there's a lot that will be improved as the rest of our vision sort of is realized, but I can see somewhat into the future now, and we're like at the 70% mark, mostly because these little objects are still all living in this space, and it looks like there's not a lot of room, but we have a solution for this in the upcoming quarter as well. The nice thing is we have way more room for pallets than we've ever had before. We could store like right around 20 pallets before, and this line couldn't store any pallets because we didn't have enough space. If you put these racks out here, we wouldn't have been able to stack anything, wouldn't have the clearance. So now we've added the ability for 12 additional pallets that we couldn't house before. And for us, this is really, it's more monumental than meets the eye, because you get into the 30s and now we can store nearly 2 truckloads of pallets. A truckload of grains is 17 pallets large. Of course, we have a lot more than just grains here. We have supplies. This is all packaged flour that's been milled in the last week, and is going to be shared with people all over the country over the next few days. We've got boxes to package it in. So there's more than just the raw material that comes in here, but we want to be able to buy by the full truckload. For us, that unlocks the next kind of layer of being able to negotiate better prices on grains. And that's important for us because it's one way that we can recoup the investment of this space over time. So we're trying to get to that point, and it seems easy. Okay, well, now you can put the flour pallets away, but we now have to get ourselves physically ready to accept 17 pallets at once, even financially ready to pay one bill that's 17 pallets large in size. So we're inching our way there, and there's just a lot going on around the whole complex. We've come to realize that this spot just offers us more maneuverability than Mesa ever really could. We were able to carve out a little bit of an office spot. It's a luxury in our world to have a dedicated office. Usually every square inch goes to something else, but more and more is happening from this location. And there is an administrative side to that we have to acknowledge. And sometimes if you're trying to get administrative work done and you're in a very public setting where you can be interrupted, it takes 2 or 3 times longer to get through it. So we carved out a little bit of a private space here. It's still finished like kitchen grade with FRP on the walls and the cove bases. And then the last big deal over here is we're about to put in this roll-up door, and it will give us a connection point to the mill through that side alley, where we don't have to bring a giant 1-ton crate of flour through this narrow passage. You see the dish pit and you see all these like barriers here. Basically every time that we have to reload the mill, we have to empty this whole space. And it's just a big interruption and inefficient. So I've got bread in the oven that I need to check on, but there's a lot going on in every inch of this facility right now. I was hoping to do a final tribute for this oven. Now, its life with proof might not be over. I think it has a future in the West Valley for us. We're currently baking on a convection oven in the West Valley. So I'm gonna store it for a little while because I don't have the bandwidth to install it over there, and nor the space right now, nor do I know that it will fit that building in particular. But I wanted to take a moment and appreciate what it's done for us up until now. I think we added it in 2019, so you have to go all the way back to the very beginning, and even then you still see this rack oven in my garage. But for us, like, when we originally installed it, it felt like we had made the greatest leap forward, because overnight we went from being able to bake in the deck oven croissants, which is hard to do. You have to drop the temperature much lower than all the bread, and they still have a tendency of burning or baking unevenly. You have to rotate the trays throughout the bake all the time. And we could do 12 at a time, disrupting bread baking flows meanwhile. That was our best before. Earlier, we had like a convection oven where we were crazy stuff in the very beginning with pastry bakes. But being able to do 16 trays at a time, and the fact that this thing's currently on a pallet, so it's 3 inches higher than it typically stands up, but this nested so nicely in my home garage. It didn't take up a big footprint. And I have to tell you, it's really paid its dues. The oven itself is kind of a basic oven. It's an entry-level rack oven. The fact that it's a little bit miniaturized makes it more problematic at times. It did have some sort of sticking points that regularly went wrong. The gas burners sometimes when you turn it on in the morning wouldn't engage, so it'd stay at like room temperature. You have to like turn it on and off. Sometimes they just got clogged or the relays weren't working. But overall, it's been a pretty reliable oven now for going on 6 years. It was out of service for a year or so when we left our garage, opened Mesa, and it sat around in the garage. It made a good Thanksgiving dinner that year. But then it eventually found its home here, and we started out this bakery with it. We had no idea what to expect when we moved into this location here in Phoenix. And to our great delight, this location has become our busiest, most robust one that we have. So having an oven that's significantly smaller than the one that we have in Mesa is making less and less sense. The one in Mesa can do in one bake what both of these racks can do together and then some, because this rack can do 16 and our new oven that we're installing here can do 40. So it's just a very big difference. In 30 minutes, I can bake 40 trays of product versus in 30 minutes, I can bake 16. It's crazy to think about it all throughout its lifetime and its scale, because originally baking 16 trays of pastry seemed like such a huge leap forward. And I imagine to a lot of you watching it would be a massive leap forward. For us, we've just reached the point where now on certain days of the week, we're staying extra late in order to get through all of our baking because of what this oven can do. And yet in the last year and a half that it's been in service here in Phoenix, it's outbaked what it did from 2019 through 2021 in the garage. That was a 2-year period back then. So a little bit less time, a lot more baking in that less time here. So it's cool. It kind of got a second life here. And while my old garage space has now become a storage yard for old equipment like this one, I still think we'll reactivate this in the future. And so maybe it will still have a third life before we finally decide to sell it or move on from it. It was a substantial investment that we are trying to get the most out of. Something like $25,000 into this oven, plus then all the installation, all the service. So we're trying to get the most use out of it. It's still a perfectly good one, but it's going to be in storage for a while, and my upcoming obstacle is getting it out of here and into my garage. So something I'll be doing in the next couple days. It's easiest to score your loaves when they're cold. We eat with our eyes first.
You have to understand your audience enough to be able to say, like, I'm going to be charging a lot of money for my super crazy cool thing, or it's so cool and so creative that only you can do it, and then you don't stand a chance of scaling it.
Let's go over what it's like to build a bakery from one person to many.